This is Danny Glassmaker, and you're listening to the Break It Down Show.
And now, the Break It Down Show with John and Pete.
Hell yes, you are. Finally, at long damn last.
One of our hardest gets to date.
God damn, man. You know what? It was easier to get Sly Stone to sit still.
And that guy is impossible to get.
Yeah.
He scratches a lot.
He does, man. And we got in the house with us tonight, celebrity chef, purveyor of spices.
Yes.
And worldwide entrepreneur of all things gastronomic.
I'm telling you.
Yep.
The great Danny Glassmaker, who we've been trying to get for a long damn time. Thanks, man, for gracing
Hey, man,
our,
thanks for having me. This is really cool. I like your whole setup here, and, you know, it's good to finally get together and have some hippie tacos. And,
we ate some hippie tacos for dinner.
In the words of Mario Batali, it was delicious because I didn't have to cook it.
That's right. That's right.
Yes.
And it was totally vegan.
Oh, yeah.
Which we know you're no stranger to because
yeah.
your restaurant, the Workshop, is not a vegan restaurant. However, you have a vegetarian wife.
I have a beautiful vegetarian wife.
Make no mistake.
And so,
ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, but, you know, there are times where, you know.
Our man here is playing up.
There are times where the animal protein is desired.
Necessary.
Oh, yeah, necessary. Thank you. Yes, by all means.
You know, we've had an opportunity to have plenty of vegan shit that Pete and I have prepared or that we've enjoyed that somebody else prepared, and we dig it. Mm-hmm. We love the vegan lifestyle, but we both cheat.
Yeah.
And my favorite place to cheat is the Workshop in Benicia, California.
Ever since I heard about soft shell crab po' boys, I've been like,
we encourage cheating at the Workshop. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah,
you got to keep it real, man. Keep it New Orleans style. You got to give Nola the props. So
yes, you do. And I'm not kidding, listeners. If you've never been to the Workshop, they will feed you a sandwich that is, how long is that fucking sandwich? It must be 20 damn inches long.
It's big. It's big. And I will say this too, and I'll say it in front of everybody. And the Workshop, what we all call Danny's place, but the Workshop is.
Yeah, we just say Danny's.
Yeah,
what are you doing? I'm going to Danny's.
Go to Danny's. Yeah. So if you want to be down with the Benicia talk, you say Danny's.
That's the small town folklore. Yeah, I get that.
You have the best restaurant in town.
Oh man, thank you, Pete. I appreciate
and you know what?
it. Thank you.
We know a few of the restaurateurs, but we've had no Benicia restaurateurs on our show, and we've just been fucking chasing your ass.
Yeah, I'm good at like give it. You know, I got a guy that comes in for red beans, and he wants red beans every day. I said, man, I gotta keep you jonesing, because you get bored, right?
That's right.
So look, if I was popping in every night, eating your food and talking shit, you guys would be tired of my ass. So see, here we are.
It might take a while, but I get it. I get it. Now I
appreciate you having me in.
Big fans, of course, and also lucky enough to be in a position where we get to put our friends on the show because they do some pretty damn interesting shit.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's a lot of cool cats out there.
Yeah.
For sure.
I mean, we've had plenty of strangers who are very interesting, who have become friends, thank goodness. Mm-hmm. But every once in a while, we get to say, now we're going to feature our friend because he's just as interesting as anybody else.
Yeah, no doubt.
I think the thing that we should do for our listeners, though, is take them back. How did you get into the food business, man? Let's hear that story.
Man, it starts, food with me really honestly starts back when I was like 8 years old. I used to wake up to, I got two older brothers, and my dad is from the Midwest where they have big breakfasts, and so we would wake up on weekends to big, tables full of breakfast, and it would be, my brothers would have long Friday nights, and so one of the two friends would stay over, so there'd be 5-6 of us at the table on a Saturday morning.
Shout out to your brothers real quick, because they're worth shouting out.
Yeah, shout out to Mike and Jerry. What's happening? Keep it rolling.
Yeah.
So, what's up, Nico?
I'll do one of those.
Howdy. I'll take one, too. How you doing?
Hey, look at this strapping young man. I ain't seen, man, he's grown up. My goodness.
He's getting there.
Oh, give me a break. He's way better looking than his dad.
That's not that difficult.
He's the best looking guy in this room. So.
He's done plenty of harder shit than that.
No shit. He's definitely the best looking man in this house.
Yeah.
Also tallest.
Yeah. How tall are you now, Nico?
6'1".
Oh, we're right there.
That's not.
Are you right there?
I'm right there.
In the draft book, he's 6'3".
There you go. That's
6'3".
even. Keep it like that.
6'3".
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, good looking man right there. I ain't seen him since he was Fitzgerald.
Has it been that long? Come on, man. I've dragged him to the restaurant.
I'm telling you, I seen him eating beignets like 2 years ago, and then before that, it was like 2 years before that. So I've seen him twice in like 4 years. Seriously.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. So that's like the first time he's been a young man right there. You know?
Yeah. Wow, that's a shame.
He's an adult. He's a 19-year-old adult. Shit.
And then you met my older son, and we're going to talk about that too.
Oh, yeah.
But let's back up, though.
Okay.
You're talking about how you got in the food business.
Yeah. So it goes back to my enjoying breakfast on a Saturday morning, and then you go.
What's in this breakfast, man?
Yeah,
like, what would you
man.
see? I mean, standard breakfast fare. Sure, there's going to be
country breakfast. Like you'd have 3 or 4 different meats. You'd have my favorite. Watching my dad cook was the pancakes. There would always be 30, 40 pancakes. My dad thought all of us needed 7 or 8 pancakes apiece.
And it's not like all you were having was pancakes.
No, hell no. But I got to realize as I got older, that was really all he could really cook good was the pancakes. So he would make sure all his best shit was on that pancake platter. So, but yeah, I used to get up and watch him cook pancakes, and then my parents got divorced. I lived with my mom, and my mom was basically, she's from Arkansas. Her whole family's from Arkansas, so I got the southern flavor there, and I would watch her cook constantly.
That's a good flavor.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's a real good flavor. I'm lucky. I'm fortunate to have my mom on half my bloodline for sure. But her relatives, and learning how to cook basically from her mom, my grandma. Same thing, going up there on holidays and just watching her fried chicken, and so basically at a young age, our generation, your parents would work, both parents would work, so you'd be home days all day doing, whatever, getting in trouble, or, I would learn how to cook, and so, I'd come home, you got to turn that burner off, what the fuck, so I learned kind of just little by little, doing my own thing, watching from what I seen my grandma do or my mom do, and so when I was a teenager, I basically at 10, before I was a teenager, I was cooking breakfast for the family, cooking, doing my own laundry, doing my own, basically not waiting for my mom to get home at 7 o'clock. I had to have the shit done. I have to have dinner for her ready. So I was kind of forced into getting, a meal done for whoever I was living with.
You had to understand how that kitchen worked.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, that's kind of where it started. Well, then, as I moved out of the house when I was, in my young 20s and 19, I started cooking for my roommates. And then everyone goes through that like barbecue stage where you start grilling on football days and you think you can do everything on a grill. And then I thought, man, my wheels were spinning. I didn't have really any goals set at young, 20-year-old. And I was like, man, I should just go to culinary school. Why not? So there was a really good culinary program right next door to where I live. Shout out to Diablo Valley College Culinary Program. They got a really good program over there. So I enrolled and I did 2 years there, and I said, man, I'd been to New Orleans once. When I was 18, I graduated high school. My mom took me down to New Orleans.
My favorite city.
Yeah, ain't it? It's, boy, you can't beat a 5-day stay in New Orleans.
You cannot.
Sometimes you miss your flight home, and it turns into 13 years and a lot of gray hairs right there. Wow. But so yeah, I'd been to New Orleans, and I was like, okay, if I ever want to really get it right, I want to go down to that city and learn from the real deal, And so I told my chef at DVC, I said, hey, do you guys have any Cajun or Creole classes? And he's like, yeah, we have an international foods class. It'll teach you everything you need to know in 2 weeks. And I was like, fuck, yeah, right.
2 weeks to get the rest of the world.
Yeah, 2 weeks to get the Creole, the oldest cuisine in America. Yeah, sure, yeah. That'll work. So that semester, I transferred all my credits to New Orleans, finished at Delgado, which is a same kind of program as DVC. It's a community college in the mid-city. Finished at Delgado and worked for a number of different chefs in the city. Got my technique from different places and different chefs, and Hurricane Katrina brought me back home. So I've been cooking now for about 23 years, somewhere in there, for profession. But started way back when I was like 9 years old, like I said.
Damn.
Yeah, that's it.
So chock full, man. I mean,
no kidding.
A lot of it, the thing that we find in common with really most of our guests who are doing something fascinating and doing it well is that you find a way to have done it all your life.
Yeah, without thinking about it, I guess that's true. I mean, it's always been in my blood and I guess my DNA. So it's a joy for one. You got to really love it, or else you would find a way to subliminally probably quit it. You know what I mean? without trying to quit.
For people who don't love it, it sucks.
You're
on your feet all the damn time.
Absolutely.
You're cutting yourself. You're burning yourself. You smell like whatever you've been cooking all day.
You slowly grow a hunchback.
You grow the hunchback. The restaurant business is fraught with nicotine and booze. There are a lot of traps you can fall into.
Absolutely. And not to say I'm no angel. I have seen the side of the traps, but you have to better yourself and have to realize what's right and what's wrong for your well-being, and to maybe realize you're not going to live forever. So you got to get healthy and live a healthy, prosperous, or at least, I guess, inner happiness is what you want to have. If it's going to be with your job, and your job's going to bring a passion or a joy that you don't want to leave, that I think you need to do the right thing within that job. You can't keep having fun all the time. It's going to have to get serious and make you climb.
Everybody who achieves greatness faces that fork in the road where it's like, it's time I should stop fucking around.
Absolutely.
I mean, everybody's got a talent. Some people develop the talent so far, and they're having a good time. And it's just like athletics or, academics or anything.
You just said everybody. Isn't that fucking cool? Everyone on this planet has something that they can do really good.
Right.
Everyone.
And they reach that fork in the road where they can either decide to stop fucking around and really do it, or keep fucking around. Maybe have a good time. Maybe whatever.
I mean, it's maturity plays a part in there, and responsibility plays a part in there, and some people wake up later than others, and that's all cool. That's all good with everybody's timeline. It's just that's what you said there kind of struck me. It's like everybody on this planet has something that they could really make other people smile at. Right. That's fucking cool.
Well, Colonel Sanders didn't find it until he was like 68 or something. And I don't know if that's the number, but
I hear you.
I mean, he found his calling late.
You don't see Colonel Sanders as some young, strapping young college student, do you? He's white all over. So that's where it started for me, man. Back when I was a little kid, and then I'm glad I went to New Orleans. That was a good move, and I struggled for years down there. I wasn't doing the right thing, like we just talked about. I've seen the traps, enjoyed the traps. New Orleans is a place where you can really fucking enjoy the traps.
Man, there's some traps.
Oh man, and they're fun. They're fun. I mean, I wouldn't change a single thing I experienced. There was times where you look at Rent and you look at Friday night, and fuck it, Friday night.
Right.
Of course, everyone's, I think, had that moment. It's also a place that'll chew you up, spit you out. I mean, it's like I said, I was down there for a weekend. I went back down there, 4 years later, and it was really, honestly, for a visit trip, and it turned into 13 years. To me, music, food, and people are three of the top things that you really want forever. At least if you look at the timeline of mankind, right? There's three things
that have endured in every culture.
Absolutely. That's humanity, food, and music. And so, I mean, New Orleans has that's probably the top city for those three.
I mean, come on. We're our oldest cuisine and our only truly American art form.
Absolutely.
Come from New Orleans.
Absolutely.
It's the treasure of a city that we have in the United States that is unlike every other. I mean, hey, there's a lot of great cities, man. Chicago, great town.
Oh, yeah.
Kansas City, great town.
I love New York.
I
love New York.
Of just so much to do in places, but none of them quite move the needle to unique.
Yeah, absolutely. It is the most unique place. You could get lost there for 24 hours, and you can get lost there for 24 years.
Yep.
Because it is so unique. There's parts of the city. I mean, just take the dialect alone, linguistics of the city. It's you grow up in the same neighborhood, and you're a guy that you grew up down the street will say words different than you say, and you're in the same neighborhood. It's just there's 17 different dialects, 18 different dialects in the city, and the city's not much more than 6 miles across. So it is a gumbo pot of people, music, and food, and it just took
look what it's given us.
Giving you po' boys in Benicia.
That's
boy.
right, man. That's right. I mean, it's given us a lot of things, a lot of cultural richness, a lot of in various forms. But the one that hits closest to home is giving us po' boys in Benicia.
That's it.
And I'll tell you what, man, I'm not kidding. It is my favorite town. I go, when I get down there, I do a lot of things that you should do. I immerse myself in the music that's there, and I eat like
nobody's business.
Yeah, like I'm trying to break something. Right. And I'm not pulling your chain, man. When I think about the po' boy that I love the most, That po' boy's made by Danny Glassmaker.
Oh, you the man, John. Thank you. I appreciate it. I really do. I learned from the best down there, man. I really did. I made a lot of light paychecks learning how to do that down there, man. There was no money for me for a long time. I was down there just really to learn. And after I swallowed that, saying, okay, I'll just barely get by, but really the knowledge I'm taking in is going to make someday it's going to be worth struggling these years through this city, and you live on friendships, you live on $5 covers, and you live on $5 po' boys, you know what I mean? And that's so, you get to see Rebirth on Tuesday night, man, you feel fucking great till Sunday, you know what I mean? It's like, you really do. You're like, you talk about that on Friday, go, God, did you remember that shit 3 nights ago? That was way better than anything you're ever going to see. So that was that. You find the little things in that city because the money isn't really there for a lot of people. It really isn't. You got to be, blue blood and in-law and, the LSU dental and, the jobs that I didn't have. So,
wow. I think that's the key.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing. Is it?
Absolutely. The backbone is there.
Yeah.
It's on Decatur Street. You know what I mean? So that was part of it. And my whole menu is a tribute to the love and the experiences that I had down in the city. Every day my lunch specials change, but each special is a tribute to my favorite lunch specials throughout the city. So I'd wake up on a Monday and go eat somewhere, wake up on a Tuesday, and I would take those, and man, if I ever had my own little joint, I'm going to take each lunch special throughout the week and put it on my menu. And so give kind of like pay tribute to the city, man. I mean, that's why we don't cut any corners at the workshop. That's why everything's from scratch, everything's fresh, because we ain't gonna we ain't gonna buy 1,000 Island dressing out of a jar. We ain't gonna buy horseradish sauce out of a jar. We're gonna make everything fresh and from scratch, because you got to at least, pay homage to that city, man. That city's real. It's down and dirty. It's been the real down and dirty scene for 200 years. It was there before America was America, correct?
That's right. Yeah.
And so you got to give respect where it's, props where it's due. And so I'll never try and cheat the menu, just because the people that showed me, they weren't rich either. So they were taking a piece of their heart and saying, all right, I'll give this to you. This is cherished. You got to cherish this, this gumbo recipe.
Yeah,
you gotta
don't play with it.
Yeah, you got to cherish this roux. This is when my great grandmother did roux. And if you fucking try and shortcut this roux, I shouldn't even be showing you this. I always think of that every morning when I'm cooking something. It's like, if I got to fix something, I got to fix it right, because it's paying tribute to everyone who's took me under their wing. So.
One of our friends of the show is a guy named Dr. Rich, and he's from out in the bayou. And,
Grand Isle.
Yeah, and I said, tell me about the gumbo from back home. And he's like, it all starts with the roux.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
You cannot mess that up.
No,
that's the key. And once you got that right, you can make it finally after that.
Absolutely. I mean, Louisiana food is basic food. It's because it's 200-300 years old, but what's unique about it is it's five nationalities or 5 cultures coming together to make a Cajun or a Creole or a New Orleans flavor, So, you get a little Caribbean, a little Haitian, a little Spanish, a little French, a little Southern country, a little, Irish even, and so it's pretty much it's a gumbo of culture that makes the gumbo, and so, yeah, you can't, if you want to do it your way, Texas people tell me, oh, the red gumbos, where, everybody's got their own flavor, but red gumbo sucks. Put it that. Let's just be honest. Any of y'all out there trying to tell me your red gumbo's better, man, peace out. That ain't even close.
I dare you.
Yeah.
Christy makes a good gumbo, man.
Oh, I bet.
And I'm not going to say that out loud in front of you if I didn't mean it.
Well,
it starts with the roux.
Absolutely.
You know who taught Christy how to make good gumbo? Steve Abernathy.
Oh, I bet.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Abby knows what's up, man. He looks like he's about as Dutch and Norwegian and Scandinavian as can be, but he's got some flavor, no doubt. Oh, he can get down. There ain't no doubt about it. Yeah. Abby, you still listening to the Beastie Boys?
Man, come on. You know who he is. Abby's expecting, man.
Congratulations, my boy.
Yeah.
Abby, congratulations. That's
I'm going to tell this story. I used to work with Abby, man. We worked for, of all things, a financial services company together for several years. That's where I got to know him. And, of course, he showed up. Him being from New Orleans and me loving New Orleans like I do, we hit it off pretty immediately. Mm-hmm. Talked about all the good shit. Mm-hmm. And then I would say we knew each other a couple of years where we would hang out at work. I would always tell him about my wife, and he said, yeah, man, I can't wait to meet her. And then, of course, I'd get home, and I'd go, man, I work with this dude named Abby who is from New Orleans. We honeymooned there.
Yeah.
So she loves it as much as I do.
Uh-huh.
But we...
Great little honeymoon town.
Oh,
boy.
man, what a honeymoon
Great
town. You know, I couldn't afford to take her to France. So
Right.
I figured,
Yeah,
let's go to the French Quarter.
Hell yeah. Oh, yeah.
So when we finally got the two of them in the same room, I want to say it was a holiday party for work, and he said, finally, and she said, finally. And so they're just getting on like, you know, like I expected they would.
Right,
We're having a good time and shit. And he says, you know, well, I'm not really from New Orleans. At some point in the conversation, he said, I think he's from Metairie.
He's from Metairie, bruh.
So he said, yeah,
Metairie. That's a Rummel High, boy.
I'm from a small town, you know, I'm from a small town. And she said, well, I'm from a small town too, so I know what that's like. And he goes, no. I'm from a small town. And she said, no. I'm from a small town. And he said, where are you from? And she said, Benicia. And he said, oh, fuck it. Come on. I know somebody from Benicia. She said, the fuck you do.
Right.
Because she would.
That's exactly what she'd say.
And he said, his name is Danny Glassmaker. And we looked at each other and went,
her jaw
holy
dropped.
Shit.
Yeah.
No shit.
That motherfucker.
Yeah, exactly.
He owes me money.
Yeah, right. Would be the first time that happened.
Yeah. So, man, you know, being that the town is that small, when you get to New Orleans, though, you have a small town feel there as well. I mean, it's just the culture continuing. That's just what you come from.
Man, you know what's cool about New Orleans, too, in that aspect is it's a town. It's not a city. You know, you go out every night in San Francisco for 6 months, and you might see one person again once.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
New Orleans, man, you see the same people at different places every week. It is a town. It's not a city. And that's one thing it took me a while to realize. My first year down there, I'm like, all right, I'm in this big city and I'm away from home and I'm going to make it on just a shirt on my back, man. I ain't got, no money. I got friends here already and they're going to show me where to go, cool spots. And after about a few months of that, I was like, fuck, I'm seeing the same people all the time. It doesn't matter if we're in a, 20-story bar or if we're down in the grungy part of the quarter or if we're down in the Marigny. It's like the same people that you bond to. You can see them in that town any given night. So it's a town. It's got a town feel, really does, compared to like your Chicago's, your New York's, your San Francisco, stuff like that. San Francisco goes up and down, right? It's on hills. New Orleans is in a puddle. It's in a crater, and so it's not geographically big, and so everybody is in neighborhoods that are shoulder to shoulder, and so you can run through a 5-mile stretch and go from the Irish Channel and end up in New Orleans East, and you can hit 20 different settings in the city. Like I said, 17 different dialects, or 18, some people. If you're looking at it geographically, it's not Dallas, what I mean? It doesn't take an hour to get across it.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the workshop, though, because what you did was you took things that you liked, things that you dug that were there in New Orleans that you socked away, put in the notebook. Said, I'm going to save this.
Absolutely. And
really, that's what you've dumped on us, is you went down there and you got your own greatest hits. And you brought those greatest hits back up here.
Yep.
And, there are a lot of people's greatest hits. I mean, you got Hush Puppies. You got po' boy sandwiches of many varieties.
Yeah. My menu's been established, 100 years ago, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's basically, like you said, it's a tribute to my favorite places, basically. And there's a lot of stuff that isn't on the menu that I like to cook too, and there's a lot of things that I surprise people with throughout the year, just for a weekend, or run a special for a week, or Christmas time we do a stuffed crab that nobody else has around in the Bay Area the way we do it, And so we'll do stuff, bread pudding. I'll bring out my whiskey sauce that I got shown how to make, from a black lady in Opelousas, you know what I mean? So it's like down and dirty stuff that really, I'm fortunate that I got taken in by a guy named Malcolm Swallow. He was a heavy hitter in the 70s. He trained Emerald. He trained Jamie Shannon. These big-time chefs. Jamie Shannon's passed now from cancer, but the heavy hitters that have come out of New Orleans, Malcolm had a say in the 70s at Georgie Porgy's, at Commander's, at these real established places that pretty much put New Orleans on the modern map. It's always been a staple in the South. If you're going from Florida to Texas, you stop in New Orleans, you go to Brennan's or you go to Commander's. That's been going on since the beginning of time.
Yeah.
But now you got these Food Network stars that are all coming out of New Orleans, or the four big ones. You know, I mean, Malcolm had a shot at training all those guys. He had a time in their life where they will all know who Malcolm Swallow is if you talk to him. And so I got lucky, man. I walked in my first week in New Orleans. I had $6 to my name. I ain't lying. I moved down to New Orleans with $606, right? It took $300 for the first month rent, $300 for a deposit on a studio on Lake Avenue in West Metairie. That's where I first stopped.
And there you are. You got $6.
I got $6. Man, this is crazy. I'm going to say this on the air, but I was this is before the internet really took off. This is before cell phones, right? I was stealing newspapers in people's driveways to get the want ad section so I could get classified, so I could find jobs. That's what I was doing. That's how broke I was. And so I walked into this place called The Wharf. It's not there anymore, and it was right on Lake Pontchartrain at West End, called an area called West End, and it had a sand volleyball courts. It had 4 different restaurants: Jaeger's, Fitzgerald's, The Wharf, and I can't remember another one back in there. And basically, it's just 4 waterfront restaurants. And Jaeger's was real famous for their oysters. I had no idea about this stuff. I just walked into the first one I saw, right? So I walk in at about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and there's one old white guy back in there, right? Cajun guy, and he's about 70. And I said, "Hi, you guys hiring right now? You know, I'm a culinary student from California, but I've moved out here, and I would really want to learn Cajun and Creole food. I want to learn from somebody that wants to take the time to show me the recipes or show me how to really cook good New Orleans food." And he instantly took the time to listen to me. Most places were like, "You're from California, there's the door, bro. Get out, bro," because they know they don't have the time to show you roux. They don't have the time to show you.
They got to start from the beginning.
Right. They want somebody who's already ready to go when you say, "Give me a bucket of Trinity and bust me out some, boutoir." You already know what you're doing. Well, I wasn't that. He said, "Come back tomorrow." I got really lucky. He was working for free helping a friend of his. He'd been retired already. He was working for free helping a friend of his get his restaurant up on its feet. And so I happened to just right place, right time. That's why I know New Orleans was fate for me. It was like I moved down there. I'm flat broke. I walk into the first place to get a job, and it's the heavy hitter of the 70s that's put foundation in the city with culinary minds, and he's willing to show me his family recipe from Opelousas that's been there for 200 years. And so I really got lucky walking into the right place at the right time. So he scooped me up, man. He let me fill out an application, turned it into the owner. Came back the next day, and he showed me how to make seafood stuffing. That was the first thing he ever showed me how to make, for seafood stuffing. And he liked the way I used my knives. He could tell I wasn't bullshitting. I was there really. I said, "Hey, I got $6 in my name, man." He asked me, "You really want to learn this food?" I said, "Malcolm, I got $6, I got $6 in my name, chef. I ain't fucking around. I came across country to learn this, And so, I mean, I don't know how many people you got telling you that, but yeah, I'm here to learn. And so he respected that. A week, 2 weeks went by, 3 weeks went by. He tells me, "Man, pack your bags for about a week." And I said, "Well, I got to,
trying to eat."
Yeah, I ain't got really much resources here. I can't leave for a week. And he said, "Yeah, you can. Pack your bags for about a week." About 5 days. I said, "Okay." That's about all of clothes I had, too.
Right.
Seriously.
I'm packed.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I'll go home and, throw a toilet paper roll in the suitcase, 5 T-shirts and my shoes.
I'll go home and act like I'm packing if you want, or we can just go.
Absolutely, Pete. That's money right there. That's pretty much how it was. So he drove me 2.5 hours west into a town called Opelousas. It's like in the middle of the state. If you're leaving New Orleans, it's about an hour northeast of Lafayette. Everybody knows where Lafayette is, in the South. And so the college town of Eulala. And so I was in Opelousas. He dropped me off at his plantation house, and he introduced me to his nannies. They raised him. One lady was like 90. The other lady's her daughter was like 70, and her daughter was like 40. And so it was a generational thing, right?
Wow.
Absolutely. Yeah. This is like Mark Twain shit, right?
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there, and he introduced me to his uncle and said, "This is my new kid that I want to train at the wharf down, back in the city. So just take your time with him and show him a few things, and I'll be back in a few days." And so, no shit, man. I learned how to, cut and clean a chicken. I learned how to catch a turtle. I learned how to cook turtle. I learned how to do roux. I learned how to do all the, basically, if he dropped me off, it was like giving, all right, we can trust this kid with our family's secrets, right? So I got so lucky. I was so fortunate that this happened. At the time, I thought, fuck, this dropped me off in the middle of the swamp, and I don't know any of these
and
people.
I got to catch a turtle?
Yeah, right. I got to clean, hack a chicken head off, and then, and here I am watching a 7-year-old lady clean and catch a turtle. You know what I mean? She's been doing it for 60 years. You know what I'm saying? So
that kind of ups the ante, because you can bitch about it, but they're like, oh shit, she just did it.
Absolutely. So at the end of the week, we go back to New Orleans, and he just kind of like worked with me every day in the kitchen I was there for about 8 months. And then I kind of said, hey man, I really wasn't getting paid much at all. I was getting peanuts. I was like, I'd like to see the other parts of the city. This is where Steve Abernathy, this is Metry is where I was, right?
Here we go.
And so straight up, my next job, I walk down to the French Quarter. I work at Ember Steakhouse, and then I work at Commander's, and then I work at, maybe a place. It's hard now. It's hard. This goes back a ways for me. And those days are fuzzy, let's be honest.
Yes.
But eventually, I walk into Charlie G's. It's Charlie Goodson's place at the bottom of Lake Avenue in Metry. And at Veterans Boulevard and Lake Avenue, and there he is, Steve Abernathy, sitting there. He's a bartender. He's a waiter. He's moving up fast. In the few months that I knew him, he'd become a floor manager and an assistant manager. They opened up a sister restaurant down in the CBD downtown. It was called Metro Bistro, and I left that Charlie G's. I worked there for about a year. I left there and went with Steve down to the CBD location there on Magazine and Common. We had a great time for a year or two working together, and man, I was sharpening my chops, man. I was learning different things from another chef. And then, at this point, I'd worked for about 6 or 7 chefs, and then I got my own gig, in another part of the city, and then I was a executive chef for a few years at Barataria Bay, and so I'd grown the years I was there, but really it all goes back to getting lucky with Malcolm,
Yeah.
And so
you started off a dude with $6 who walked in the first place.
Absolutely.
And you ended up several years later, but in that amount of time, you worked for 6 or 7 different chefs until you became an executive chef.
Yeah, I never knew I was going to leave New Orleans. Hurricane Katrina had its part with that. At the time, I was working about a year at each place, and it wasn't like I was getting fired or wanting to quit. I just wanted to learn a year of technique from a chef and then go to the next one. And then so I had a whole repertoire of skills at the end of that with about 8 guys to give credit to, and so... But Malcolm was the founding father of the whole New Orleans thing for me.
He was like your Mick Goldmill from Rocky Balboa. He's like, I don't want to train another guy.
Exactly. In fact, I think he did cut me, too, before
That's a fucking pull right there.
I tell you, I think he did. I think he fucking, come here, bro. You don't need that pinky.
And by the way, I was looking up the numbers. Sacramento was bigger than New Orleans.
Wow.
That's how dense with history and culture New Orleans is.
Right.
Because no one's going, man, Sacramento's the best city in the entire nation.
I was just going to say, Sacramento's lacking culture. But, not to all my Sac friends up there, but let's face it.
Hey, man, there's some interesting things
it's like
going
a California,
on in Sac.
It's like a California Baton Rouge to me.
Yeah.
That's what it's like.
It's hot and sweaty over there.
Yeah.
Hey, this is John Leon Guerrero.
Hey, and this is Pete Turner.
And if you like the show,
do us a favor.
Yeah, share it.
That's the biggest thing, honestly.
All your social media outlets, all your friends, let them know the ones that you like.
Yeah. We make this show for you guys. If you think it's great, say so. Say so by sharing it. Say so by putting a comment in after the show.
Also, if you go to iTunes or Stitcher or wherever you listen to podcasts, give us a rating. Give us a review. If you think the show is great, please give us 5 stars and say so. And if you think the show really sucks, please give us 5 stars and say so.
Because, heck, we're listening.
That's right.
You can't be more approachable than us. We want to make the show better. If there's something that we're missing, let us know. That really is how you help us.
That's right. Tell us all about it. Thanks for listening.
And now, back to the show. So you go out to New Orleans, you go to all these different restaurants, you're working at all these places that are all a couple hundred years old. And one of the things you brought back, was that brisket sandwich.
Absolutely.
And I would love to hear the brisket sandwich and where it comes from, because that's, I mean, you said before that you didn't think you quite had it, but that's,
Well, let's set the table for the brisket sandwich real fast, because we've, for me, I think among us, Pete discovered the brisket sandwich at your place, because I had never ordered it until we got there.
Out of you two, Pete was the brisket messenger.
That's
There's
right.
No doubt
he was the
about
brisket
it.
messenger.
But I'm also smart enough to not drive the bus when I go to Danny's place.
Yeah,
You know, I let Danny pick.
yeah, he does. For a while, Pete's order was surprise me.
Yeah.
That's what he would come in
Sure.
and say. Give me a half a sandwich of whatever you want in your soup. Just surprise me.
Well, this is what I want our listeners to know, is that when you go to the workshop, your hours of operation are
11 a.m. to 2:30, Tuesday through Friday, and then Saturday we open up for beignets at 8 a.m. So we do fresh beignets until 10:30 in the morning, and then we kick off with red beans and rice at 11.
they're not fucking around.
No, man.
beignets.
Our red beans. I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna tell you, child.
You know, I
I'll put
hadn't
them
even gotten to the
up.
red beans, because you can get beignets at a few different places.
Yeah.
Fuck those places.
Yeah, they ain't doing it right,
They're
man. They're not
man.
keeping it real.
They're not keeping it real.
I sent them back one time. I said, "There's not enough sugar on these beignets.
Yeah.
Like, I need to be able to write my initials in the
Right.
sugar." And they're
Right.
like,
Not only is there not enough sugar on the
Yeah.
beignets in most places, in all places,
Right.
but the crust is too thick.
Yeah.
They're not doing it right.
Yeah, no. I don't do Chardonnay with my fucking under-sugared beignets, okay? You do fucking sugared beignets and give me some damn chicory,
Yeah.
and then, let me listen to the tunes, and that's what Saturday mornings are,
See what
man.
I'm saying? But the thing about opening at 11, now, when you see me walk into that place, I never walk up there anytime past 11:30.
Right.
Because I know what's happening.
Yeah.
You're running out.
Yep, absolutely.
And it's generous of you to be open from 11 to 2:30, but if you get there at 2:30, man, you ain't having that to eat.
I never thought I would enjoy, and I don't really enjoy it, but it is fun to watch grown adults argue over the last order of pork chops. That shit never gets old,
Yeah.
I'll tell you. I've seen 50-year-old men fight over beignets. I mean, we're talking donuts here, man. It's donuts. Chill out. You're raising kids. Don't worry about the beignets.
Where else are you going to get them donuts?
That's it.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
You know what? You got to get on a plane, and there's no nonstop.
"This is my only Saturday for 6 months."
Yeah.
God,
It's
damn
only
it.
Saturday for 6 months. Or you can get on. The first time I went to New Orleans, we flew Southwest down there, and I felt like I was on the city bus. You get on the
it's
city bus, and
horrible.
then you hear boom, and you go, "Oh, God damn
Yeah.
it, we got to stop at that stop."
It's like
It was
Bart.
like here to Burbank, and then Burbank to Phoenix, and then Phoenix
To Dallas.
I think we
Yeah.
we stopped at Dallas and Houston.
Right.
I think we might have stopped at both airports in Dallas.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, when
We try and save you guys the airfare. That's for sure. That's one of our things. Is look, man, this is about as real as this is as real as I can make it. See?
Yeah.
I mean, I learned in the swamp from 7-year-old black lady and Malcolm, right? So, I mean, I'm going to do it as
it's not going to get more real someplace else in the Bay
and
Area.
so that's what. So we'll save you the airfare, man, and all the headache. You don't need to take your shoes off and let me wand you. You're good. Come on in. But the brisket, back to you, Pete, man.
Yeah.
The brisket is a tribute to one of my favorite places in the city. It's one of the oldest bars in the city. It's called Two Jacks, and I want to give a shout out to Two Jack family. Dominic passed away this last year, the owner, and I don't know who started it, but it's been around for a long time. Is the Brisket Sandwich there? The restaurant itself is a shotgun building where one side is the restaurant and the other side is the bar. The bar was there first, and they decided, I guess, hey, we are pretty good recipes to share, and so now this is a black and white bow ties and vests, and you get the real old school colonial feel when you walk in there, and that's on the restaurant side. The bar side is one huge 2-piece mahogany bar from France, hand carved, and the whole place, the furniture is made out of an old cypress tree. So you can sit at a table where the table is 200 years old,
Right.
and you're sitting at a corner looking out original pane glass at a street that's 300 years old, and you're like, man, this has been here before America, before George Washington. John
Right.
Lafitte sat right here drinking his whiskey. It don't
Wow.
get much cooler, and so. with that all being said, they top it. That you can't think you could top that, but they top it with a sandwich that is the best sandwich in the country, man. You have to ask the bartender.
Will you say that one more time slowly?
It is the best sandwich in the country. It's $8. It's the best brisket and the best bread, and it's not even on a menu. You got to know about it. It's a speakeasy sandwich, right?
First of all, it's not on the menu. Is there even a menu?
There is no menu.
There's no menu.
You walk up and the guy says, "What you drinking?" And you're like, "I ain't here to drink. I'm here for a brisket sandwich." And then he goes into his little fit.
Yeah.
It's a production, right? He's got to make the sandwich. He's got to stop pouring drinks, go make the sandwich, bring it back, and it's more or less.
He's going to be ornery about the shit too.
Yeah. I've been there. It don't start till 5. I've been there at 4 asking for the sandwich, and boy, he'll give you a look like, "Son, you ain't gonna see tomorrow unless you order a drink." So it is by far the best speakeasy food you're ever gonna find in New Orleans.
Only starts at 5.
Just for that sandwich. The bar's open 24/7.
So what's with the sandwich?
It's the brisket they make in the restaurant next door. And so they've been making this brisket for 200 years, right, next door. They serve it at night, every night. And so they take the leftover brisket from the restaurant, and the next day they stew it down and break it down into this like large chunks of brisket debris and sitting in its own au jus and fat. I mean, it is succulent, right? They make their own bread.
Marinating, living in itself.
That's it, man. That's it. It's like I'm gonna wait here for you all day.
It's got delicious brisket disease.
Yeah. And then they make their own bread. It's not a po' boy bread. It's their own loaf. It's like a football, size of a football. No kidding. And on the sandwich goes the brisket, cocktail sauce, romaine, and tomato. That's it. Real simple, but that's the genius of it. It's the simplistic goodness of this place, right? It's been going for 200 years, and if it ain't fucking broke, don't fix it, right?
Right, yeah.
So it's been around that long, something's working. And so that's kind of how I discovered it, was through a friend of mine's uncle who said, "Hey man, go into the bar and ask for the brisket sandwich. No, you won't get a menu. You're not going to get to modify anything. You can't substitute anything on it. It ain't like you have it your way. You got to go in after 5 and nicely ask for this brisket sandwich, and you will be in heaven. It'll be the best experience of your life." And I sat there on the corner looking out a 200-year-old building, eating a brisket that's been made for 200 years by this family at a 300-year-old street, and watching the horse go by in the buggy. And then, my first impression was like, this is probably the coolest fucking thing I've ever done. And all it was eating a sandwich, and that's what New Orleans is. It's just like it's like this, not majestic, but this whole real, hair on your back stand-up moments that you have throughout the city at any given time. You can go there and you close your eyes, and man, you feel like you are in a different place.
It is a different place.
Well, that restaurant dates back to the Battle of New Orleans was a few years before.
Absolutely. Two Jacks has been there before the city.
Right.
The French Quarter was there before really what we consider New Orleans.
Sure. Okay.
The city. I have a map in the workshop, and it's a map of the neighborhoods of New Orleans. There's no street names on it. It's just names of neighborhoods, and it's kind of collage. And so you can kind of, if you've lived there, you look at it and you can kind of see where the streets are and where the blocks and corners start. And the top side of the French Quarter street called is Rampart, which means partition or the wall, right? And so what there was a tall brick wall built around the whole city of what was just the French Quarter and 3 other areas, and so that's why it's the French Quarter, because it was a fourth of the city. And so the brick wall kept everybody out. And it was like pretty much just controlled by the people inside. And so that street Rampart now is it's all the streets are pretty much famous and historical, but it's expanded beyond a couple miles in every direction now. So, it's one of the most unique places you're ever going to see. So I recommend it's a must-do for everybody out there, a bucket lister, if you will.
Yeah, seriously. If you've never been to New Orleans, you have to go. Mm-hmm. You have to go.
Don't do Mardi Gras.
My experience of New Orleans, I've never been to Mardi Gras.
Yeah, you don't need to go to Mardi Gras. It's like there's too many cool things throughout the year to experience. The local things that they celebrate weekly are just as cool as Mardi Gras, man.
I went in September. I landed there on a Monday. Mm-hmm. I stayed the week nights. This was our daily routine. Was we were on our honeymoon, so we were staying at the Embassy Suites. We would wake up early in the morning because we didn't have no money. So we were wake up early in the morning, go get that free breakfast.
Well, yeah.
But the Embassy Suites had a legit breakfast. They had grits. They had. I mean, it was still
Biscuit
in New
gravy.
Orleans. Yeah.
Pork gravy.
So we were there first thing in the morning, and then we'd eat something, and then we go, okay, well, let's go back upstairs.
Yeah, right.
And we go back
Honeymooning,
upstairs, honeymooning. We'd wake up, roll out of bed somewhere around 5:30. And then
it's just getting popping.
That's right.
The thing. That's the thing, man. The city is built on hospitality industry, so half the city is a bartender or a waiter or a concierge.
That's right.
And so you don't get off work till midnight, right?
I almost jumped in when you said the words when you were talking about Two Jacks. You said the bar's open 24 hours. Of course, the bar's open 24 hours.
It's French Quarter, man.
But
you leave to let it get clean for a half hour. You can leave your drink on
There's
the bar.
There's a guy coming. Oh, he's going to hose the place down.
That's
all right,
it,
we'll
man.
move out of the way. And that happens all over the city because what we do is sometime around 5:30 we get ourselves together. We wander around down the street. We'd start at Cafe Du Monde, have some beignets, have some chicory coffee, and then go, all right, now what do we want to do? And then we'd start our day at 6 p.m.
Yeah.
And
like most people.
Sometimes you'd have to get out of the way at Cafe Du Monde so they could come in and hose down all the sugar.
Oh, absolutely.
And then
the bar, same thing. In all the bars, man, you can leave your cigarette in the ashtray and walk outside with the drink. They let you have alcohol in the streets. And so every bar has a stack of to-go cups. Yeah, stack of when I was there, they allowed you, at the first couple of years I was there, they allowed you glass in the streets. You could take your pint of beer out in the street. You could take your hurricane cocktail out in the street.
Out in the street in the hurricane
Man,
glass.
no one even tripped. The bartender, they would ask you if you wanted to go cup.
Yeah.
But,
hey, just make sure you try and bring it back.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there was no one kicking you out. The bartender would wake you up. Hey, does he need a drink? Wake him up. Does he need a drink?
Also, the other thing, if somebody out there has never been to New Orleans, the other thing that exists down there is the drive-through Daiquiri Kiosk.
Oh, Lord.
You pull up to a Daiquiri Kiosk, and it's just like a little coffee kiosk that we have out here in the West Coast. But you pull up to it, and you look in there, and there's a dude manning about 32 different flavors of daiquiri. It's like 32 Slurpee machines in there with different colors. Yeah. And he will pull you a 44-ounce fucking daiquiri.
Absolutely.
In a drive-through.
You can order shots.
And upsell you the Jell-O shots.
Absolutely.
The thing that makes it okay is that he cannot put the straw in the cup. He can hand it to the driver, can't put the straw in. Don't put the straw in there. If you put the straw in there, you better be in the back seat. Right.
Hey, man, I've been in them fucking daiquiri drive-thrus, and I shit you not, the car in front of me was two cops in a patrol car getting 44-ounce scorpions. I ain't lying. Yes. I said, this city is cool, man.
That city is cool.
You can also get an Everclear, level one. So, like, not just, 80 proof, but like
Now,
190.
See, those daiquiri shops are famous in Metairie, bruh. That's what we call it. Those are the good ones, the ones that pour strong ones. But you could actually, in the quarter, they actually have places that sell absinthe still. And so there's the Absinthe House. There's, Johnny White's, these great bars where, the bartenders aren't there to make money. They're there to get you drunk. You know what I mean? And so the money's going to come when you're drunk.
Yeah.
Their joy is to watch the drinking going on. Yeah. But that's just one of the recreations there, is to really catch a good buzz. I mean, the music's phenomenal. The food's phenomenal.
And it's spilling out of everywhere, man.
That's
we
man.
went to New Orleans, of course, because I'm a musician. So my wife said, yeah, we'll go there for our honeymoon. And I'm not sure what she was expecting, but she knew I was going to listen to music all night long.
Right.
We went down there, and there's a couple things I must say about New Orleans. First of all, I got to give a shout out to my baby nephew, Raj Smooth, because I can't have a show that mentions New Orleans this many times without mentioning Raj. And my favorite niece, Tiffany, who I love. The other thing is that when we were down there, man, I wandered into this. Actually, about a week before we went down there, I was working at a place in Emeryville that published Mix Magazine. Mm-hmm. And I managed to get on the phone. I had a phone call from a guy named Daryl Brown, who I'm still friends with. He's in Tokyo nowadays, but he was in New Orleans at the time, and we really hit it off. We made friends. His dad is Harold Brown, drummer from War, who doesn't know it yet, but he's bound to be on the show sometime real soon. But Daryl was working at the time at the Club R&B at the corner of Bourbon and Toulouse. So we ended up wandering in there every single night because I never somehow ever paid for anything in there.
Right.
Of course, I brought some things from here that he enjoyed. So all we did, man, the whole time we were there was, like you said, get our buzz on, dance to some amazing music, walk down the street, and you just got Zydeco and funk and R&B and rock and everything just pouring out of
everything,
places,
man. From
man. You can have anything you want down there. Like you said, you go... such an amazing place, and for you to have brought back as much authentic flavor from there as you did is really a gift to the West Coast.
I appreciate it, man. I'm trying to bring a little funk to our little town here, Benicia. It needs it.
Well, let's talk about the seasoning, because really, I hip our listeners to the fact that Workshop seasoning is on grocery store shelves, and we're starting here, and it's growing from here.
We do everything from scratch in-house in the restaurant there, and so the seasoning is just a blend of some goodness that I think makes everybody happy. It's got a little kick, it's got a little smoke, it's got a little flavor.
It's got no MSG.
No salt, no MSG, no preservatives. It's
good for you.
I think it makmakes anything good. Anything from scrambled eggs to catfish to brisket rub to Cheerios.
On our vegan hippie tacos tonight.
That's it, man. Sprinkling the vegan hippie tacos were good without it, but yeah, we're gonna throw a little love on there, makes it even better, right?
Man.
Yeah, we're trying to get that. That's our little baby. Let's hopefully see that on more store shelves. Right now we're gonna try and get it up on Ace Hardware in the barbecue section, and then we're gonna go Food Basket's carrying it on their shelves here in Vallejo.
You guys are really catching this product in its infancy because it's a seasoning size bottle, the same
6
bottle
ounce,
as the stuff on your spice rack. Absolutely. It's approximately $6, right?
Yeah, $5.50 at the store, and then it could go up from there. We'll see. I don't know.
And the thing is that it's going to last you. That bottle right there it's going to last me about 3 weeks. I'll say 3 weeks because I'll put it on. I'll throw it on a salad. You know what I mean? I'll sprinkle it on some toast.
It goes on everything. I mean it. I'm not just shooting shit. It's good from. I mean, I haven't had it on Cheerios yet. I was just joking there, but
not yet.
Let's go. You could. I've accidentally spilled it in my coffee. I mean, it's good on ice cream.
Man, really, you could take everything from, you cut a zucchini the long way, drizzle it with some olive oil, and grill it with that shit on there.
Oh, it's awesome on veggies. It is. It's awesome on poultry, pork, fish, beef. I'm not kidding, man. Duck. I mean, you go any kind of poultry, any kind of fowl, any kind of veggie, eggs in the morning. I mean, so it's multi. It can multitask.
Very, very versatile.
Yeah, absolutely. And so we thought maybe we'll just try it out. Throw a couple bottles out on the counter, and maybe somebody will like it when they come in and order some food. And man, we can't keep up making the mix. People buy it daily, so it's taken off a little. It's been a nice little fortunate ad that we have there in the store for anyone walking in.
Is there anything holding you back from, say, offering it mail order on a website?
We're just so brand new. We're not even there yet. But that's in the plan for sure.
Because man, we
want to
have
go nationwide, worldwide.
We have one listener in Baku.
It's true, and we got a bunch in Australia that need that shit.
Yeah, man, and they ain't gonna find it there. I guarantee it.
And man, they eat alligator down there too, don't they?
Oh yeah, I would hope so. I
think it'd be good. Where do you go from here, man? You've got the best restaurant in town. You've got a seasoning that's just now getting its wings.
Man, I think.
What do you see for yourself in the future?
Everyone keeps telling us expand, new place, bigger place, and that's to me what I learned in New Orleans and what I learned in this last 20 years of doing this is what not to do. And for some people, taking on a lot of overhead and a lot of property and a lot of responsibility, that might be the thing to do for them. For us, it's the opposite. It's to stay simple. It's to stay high quality, and it's to stay easy to find and easy to enjoy. And so the more people you involve, the more rent you involve, the
more distractions.
Yeah, it's absolutely, man. Your simplicity goes out the window. And
right.
so
eventually you're not making the roux because you're busy chasing around whatever
and
it
you're
takes.
the standard bearer. You know, you're the one that got taught by the 70-year-old
absolutely.
lady.
So it's hard for me to, at this point, let go of that responsibility. I would be a psychosis sitting on my couch wondering if things are getting done right, if I'm not there. So, but I have to eventually meet that threshold with someone I trust with my recipes. My wife and me don't plan on, making sandwiches the rest of our life. But what we do have in the plans as far as our little place is to eventually get some people that we trust that can run the place right, and then market ourselves in other directions without getting literally a bigger place. We want to have our product reach a broader spectrum, maybe making soups and marketing soups for restaurants to use. We make everything from scratch, like I said earlier, all our sauces, our condiment, our Cajun seasoning. Those are shelf life savvy for different stores. We're working with trying to get into Costco right now with a road show, and maybe have the local Costco's have our everything that you could find in Costco would go good with certain sauces we have. We have a great hot sauce that we make from scratch with no preservatives. There are items that we want to have grow with us right out of this little place. So we don't want to try and get too big. That was one of the questions the guy asked me right when we started. He said, "What's one of your fears? What's your biggest fear?" Probably the first week we were open. And I didn't want to sound arrogant or cocky, but I was being honest. And I said, I don't want to get too big too fast. And he said, "Wow." He goes, "That's a unique answer. Not many people have that answer. You think you're going to get big, huh? Too quick, too big, too quick?" And I said, "Well, it's possible. I just don't want to get too big, too fast, because that's when you're not able to stay focused. You're not able to get a rhythm on what you need. You take on too much. You spread yourself thin too fast." And so eventually that's why the restaurant has a 95% fail rate. That's why there's 95% of the restaurants you see new, they're not around in a year.
The flip side of that is that's why you're open from 11 to 2:30.
If we, at the beginning, I thought we could do breakfast and lunch.
Yeah.
I mean, the lunch has grown. We thought we'd have a cute little po' boy shop with a cute little blueberry muffins in the morning and shrimp and grits, and this thing's turned into a fucking monster, man. I mean, we got a line out the door. We got people calling constantly for catering. Our catering's kicking up now to where we're catering every weekend we're off. We've been going balls to the wall. We've somehow thrown in a marriage in this last 3 years. We got married last year, and so we did get to go to Greece, for a honeymoon for about 2 weeks and enjoy that. But since then, we have been working constantly. So in 2 weeks, 20 days actually, we're going to Hawaii. We're flying to Maui.
Good.
And my wife and me are saying, fuck it, we are in Maui for a week, trying to breathe a little bit. But when we come back, we're focused, and it's balls to the wall again for another year, 2 years.
I want to say something about Naomi, too, your lovely wife, because number one, she is the backbone of the service. I mean, while you're back there cooking, thankfully, I mean, we all love to see you. So you come out frequently and you say hi to everybody, and you make sure everybody's doing well and stuff. But she really runs the service part of the operation.
Irreplaceable.
And she is magnetic and wonderful and terrific. And you...
The glue. She is the glue. And
two of you are... I won't say polar opposites, but
no, but
I mean, you are so wildly different.
We're the yin and yang, for sure. Absolutely.
She's holding down something that you are holding down something completely different.
Yeah.
I think that's another part that makes us unique, not us as a couple. I was saying the workshop as a company is you do have owners on the grounds every day, interacting with every transaction is the owner, her or I. And so it really makes it.
She didn't know what she was getting into.
Man, she could have had her life so happy.
She had the world by the tail.
Poor gal. She just. I came back 20. We were high school sweethearts. Okay, and so for 2 years, year and a half, almost 2 years, we went out in high school. And we were puppy love, and we thought, we knew what was going on, and then, you're kids, you break up, and you go your different ways. Well, her story is, I need a fucking 20-year break from your ass, right? My story is, I got to ramble, I got to see what's out there. And so lo and behold, 20-year class reunion comes around in 1990. I'm sorry. Whoa. 2000.
You graduated in 90.
In 90. 2010, I come home for our... Sorry, I wasn't good in school. You can tell that. 2010, I come home from our 20-year class reunion, and she's downtown with friends of hers, and I'm downtown friends of mine. And the first time we seen each other, the first beer we drink, we're
in 20 years.
In 20 years, it was like, man, what are we doing apart?
Where have you been?
Yeah, what are we doing? We knew instantly, man. It was people get corny and say magical and shit. Man, that shit was fucking magical. It was. I got lucky. I tell everybody, I'm the luckiest loser you're ever going to meet in your life, because she's the best woman I've ever met. And so I really am fortunate that not only is she the best woman I've ever met, but she ain't the brightest, because she'd have said, fuck no, I don't want to run a restaurant with you.
Just bright enough.
Just bright enough, baby. I hope you're listening. So yeah, she said, yeah, let's do whatever we get. And that's my story. Her story is, you fucking deadbeat. It was getting to where I was spending my last penny on your ass, and you had to get off your ass and find something.
Yeah.
But it worked out, man. We're happy and doing good, and it's growing slowly but surely. We're going on 40 months. This is 3 years, 4 months now. So
wow.
Time flies.
Well, I tell you, man, I've said it before. I'll say it again, and I know people back me up. You got the best restaurant in a town that's got a lot of great restaurants.
Yeah.
But yours shines in a way that is different from everybody else's. I mean, it's not the fanciest place. It's not the biggest place. It's not the most linen tableclothy place.
Right. No one's going to come
any
crumb
of those
your table.
things.
I'll tell you that.
Yeah. But I don't want anybody crumbing my table, because I want them crumbs.
Right. Absolutely, man.
That's my leftover hush puppy I'm going to put back together.
Yeah.
And, it's great. And the two of you are a magical combination, man.
I appreciate it.
Really
do.
I'll say this, too. I won't say the restaurant that I'm not fond of, but in this town, you can get a $6 happy hour taco, and that's some bullshit.
Yeah.
I won't go to that place because I don't want a $6 happy hour fucking taco, but I do want a badass sandwich that makes me just lose my mind. Like, you don't charge too much for your food.
I appreciate it.
There's tremendous value in it. You always get a chance to see you and Naomi. You're always there. So I love that place.
It's definitely something. This goes back to my DVC culinary. I was taught this in a menu planning class, but it is what we call in the business a perceived value.
Right.
I mean, you spend, you're like, wow, $14 for an oyster po' boy, but after you eat the po' boy, you're like, that was worth $16. So your perceived value when you leave our place, I think, is dialed with what we're putting out.
It is.
And so, there's a lot to be said. It's that old saying, you get what you pay for.
I'm going to tell you about the one time that the workshop kind of screwed up my afternoon.
Oh, no, here we go.
And that was that there was
narcolepsy.
Several of us, including several from out of town, who were gathering for lunch. And I'm not going to name names because I don't want to point anybody out. But somebody had made some things for lunch and, put together a nice little luncheon. And I decided, you know what? I really like these people. They're coming from way out of town. I want to treat them special. And I came down and I got about, I don't know, man. I think I maybe came down and bought about 6 or 7 sandwiches. And then I took them to the party, and I cut them in quarters. I mean, you cut them in half, so I just cut each half in half. Uh-huh. And I plated them up, and I brought them out. Nobody wanted to eat the rest of the food. Everybody went to the sandwiches, and all the shit that was prepared special for the thing was like, yeah, that's I'm not eating that bullshit.
Yeah, you weren't planning on that.
Is there some more of that brisket? Is there some more of that oysters? Yeah, man. And so I will say that all the nice things that we've said, you did fuck up lunch one time.
Yeah, right.
You fucked up everybody else's lunch.
Hey man, all I am is that I'm just bringing the 200-year-old love that's back there. It's like
that's right.
I'm just the messenger. You can't kill the messenger.
People still talk about that shit too. They're like, remember that sandwich? That sandwich was good.
There's a lot of restaurants in town that have changed their menus several times in the last few years.
Yeah,
yours doesn't change.
Man, I've had it for 3 years. Yeah. We, like Pete said, I do keep it straightforward. It's Tuesdays pork chops, mac and cheese, Wednesdays jambalaya.
Thank you.
Fridays gumbo, Saturdays red beans. But we've added some new things over the last couple years. So now that the menu's getting more and more filled up. But We did change our first daily week special. Thursday was the favorite. It was the chicken pot pie. Everybody would come for chicken pot pie, man. And I would run out of chicken pot pie before, because I could only make a certain amount.
Right.
And so before like 12:30, people just getting off for lunch, and I'd be out of pot pie already.
Let's remind people, you're open till 2. You're open from 11 to 2:30.
Blow it out.
And 12:15. Sorry,
Done.
I'm telling you, man. And it's not like we're trying to run out. It's just that, I got one oven, and my middle name's Jay. It ain't Jesus. You know what I'm saying? So I'm doing all I can in that little one oven. So we would pump out as much pot pie as we could for the day, and it'd be gone in an hour. And so I was like, all right, you know what?
but I've gone down there for the oyster po' boy, and Pete's gone down there for the brisket sandwich, and we've both said, let's also split a pot pie.
Yeah. Yes. Well,
and our fat asses have eaten the whole damn thing.
The smart thing that we do is we put the special of the day right in front of the front door. So when you come up to the front door, you do see the special of the day.
There's no mistaking.
That does change everybody's kind of,
they walk up and go, I was going to get to,
right. Absolutely.
You got the pull.
So we do try and run out of the special, but it's not that we don't make enough. It's just sometimes the pot pie I just couldn't keep up. So I said, you know what? I'm going to take it off. Just it's been there for 3 fucking years, people. Where were you 3 years ago? 2 years ago? You could have got all the pot pie. So now it's gone. So we brought back on Thursday, we brought in fried chicken, Southern fried chicken, potato salad, and hush puppies. That's our Thursday special. And I'm telling you, it took a few weeks. I mean, the first week we changed that shit.
There was mutiny.
Oh, my goodness. We had grown men staring me down like, what? What? No pot pie? And then you get that that comical guy leaving. Oh, fucking mother, I don't fucking son.
He'll cuss leaving.
Yes.
He'll turn his ass back
Look
around
right
about
at my
8
wife.
minutes later.
Look right at my wife. You ain't got no pot pie. You dumb fucking shit. Next Thursday, we see him right there. Well, sorry about my attitude. I'll take an oyster po' boy today.
Maybe I'll try the chicken.
So you know what? The chicken took a few weeks. I was having leftover chicken. I was running chicken to the bank, and we get out of there. I'd run chicken downtown to the farmer's market for friends. I would run chicken to my wife's salon. Hey, this is leftovers. Finally, about 4 weeks in, we're starting to run out of chicken. I make 30 orders of fried chicken now, and it's gone. And it'll make it till 2, but 2 to 2:30, it's iffy. So, Yep, it's working good, man. Buttermilk fried chicken, and we're keeping it real that way too. So
I'll tell you what, though, last Mardi Gras, I wandered down there, and you had. I want to say you had a stuffed crab.
Oh boy, did I!
That was the Mardi Gras special.
Boy, we killed it on this shit.
How many of those did you make?
That stuffed crab. Huh?
How many of those did you make?
47. You
made 47.
I made 57 the first year, and the second year I couldn't get enough crab capes, the shell,
you
the head
shell,
and that's what I use as the dish
in the shell.
Absolutely. And so I make an old traditional seafood stuffing from Malcolm Swallow, who showed me that my first day in the wharf.
Right.
I make that stuffing. I make a crab mornay sauce that goes on top, and we stuff it heaping out of that shell. And you get lump crab meat, you get claw crab meat, you get a seafood stuffing topped with a cream mornay sauce, and I put it up against any stuffed crab you get in the Bay Area, if you get one in the Bay Area. I mean, Skoma's over in San Francisco's got a good stuffed crab. It's like $50.
Yeah, that's Skoma's. Anything at Skoma's $50.
Right.
But the thing that fucking pisses me off, Danny Glassmaker, is that I showed up for that stuffed crab, man. I was there at 11:20.
Yeah.
And they were
he was
done.
in line for crab number 52 that didn't exist.
You know what was crazy was, and that was 2 Mardi Gras ago. It wasn't last Mardi Gras. 2 Mardi Gras.
Okay.
And I'll tell you what
You got
happened.
me. Uh-huh.
I'll tell you what happened, man. We put it up on social media the night before, and we opened at 11. From 9 a.m. to 11, the phone rang and rang and rang, and phone orders took up 56, or what was it, 53, I think, maybe not 57. 47 was last year. 53 crabs.
It's like you were selling Neil Diamond tickets.
I'm telling you. Sweet cat. I'm serious. In 2 hours before we opened, the crabs were gone. It was the most embarrassing thing I've ever endured. We opened the doors, said we're open, and the next thing we said is we're out of the special. I said, all right, there was a line of 25 people out the restaurant at 10:45 waiting.
Yeah.
We opened.
And you were out of the special.
I opened the door and said, we're out of special. And they're like, what?
And I showed up at 11:20 thinking I might get one, and the news story was already gone and somewhere else.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, man, that was nuts. So now we know, the stuffed crab, we just get as much made as we can and just hope for the best, And so that I only run it 2 days. It's for Mardi Gras Tuesday, Fat Tuesday, and we do it for Christmas. And so those 2 days, it's the part of the crab seasons out here. So after Mardi Gras, the crab season starts dying off a little bit, and by April, you're not looking at good crabs. So I don't really run it. So, but right now, to suffice that, to have the feelings all kind of be neutral instead of everyone giving me that F you look. I have the best soft shell crabs out of Georgia, and they've been really, really good blue soft shell crabs. I've been running that on a po' boy, running that on a seafood platter, and so that's got people happy until the Dungeness season comes in. So, but we will be doing stuffed crab this Christmas.
I'm gonna tell you my last story is. I took my son, Nico, out to lunch the other day, and we started an early lunch. He had to be at school at 2 o'clock. He had a morning class that canceled on him, so it was a rare opportunity for me to have lunch with him. I said, hey, let's go get some Chinese food. We went downtown, got a little Chinese food, a little spot we like to go to, a little cheap Chinese joint. We're sitting there about 11, maybe 11:15. We're sitting there. Another rare occurrence happened that day. I get a text from my son, Herb. Dad, I'm going to the workshop for lunch. You want to go? And now, he's also in the restaurant business.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I don't hear from him around lunchtime unless I go to his place for lunch. To get a text from him was really special. And he had my grandson with him. So I was like, I don't care where you are. I'm going to come check you guys out. We're going to break some bread. Even if I broke bread with... So I said, yeah, man. We just sat down to lunch over here at the Chinese place. As soon as I'm done here, I'll meet you at the workshop for lunch number 2. That's how much of a fat ass I am, and how much I never say no to Herb. I never say no to the workshop.
That's a loyal friend right there.
So I get down there, man, and sure enough, here's the funny thing. So I call on my way over there, and I call and reach Naomi. She answers the phone. I said, Naomi, this is John. Listen, Herb's coming to check you guys out, and I just want to make sure that he doesn't pay his tab. I'm going to take care of it, okay? So if he orders before I get there, just hang on to it for me. I'll take care of it. She was like, okay. So I get there, man, and he's got sandwiches. He's got some soups. He's got hush puppies for my grandson. Salad. He's got potato salad. He's got a whole spread going on, and I'm like, oh, man, I got to eat again.
Yeah.
And I get there, and I'm like, hey, so what's going on? And he said, no, don't worry about it, Dad.
Yeah.
I got it taken care of.
Yeah.
And I had a grand lunch. The only thing better than eating lunch at the workshop is eating lunch at the workshop with my kid and my grandkid.
Yeah. No, it was a good day. Herb's a good guy, man. I just got to know him this year. You got a really good thing going on with him, man, for sure.
He's a good dude, for sure.
So was the other boy, Nico. I just saw the young man tonight. Can't believe it. I ain't seen him but, a few times in the last few years, and that kid's grown up to be a good-looking young man. Takes after his mother.
Looks like his mama, thank God.
I had fun here tonight with you guys, man.
Yeah, really, man. Thank you so much for coming. Here's what I would really like to do, man. I'd like to do this again.
Yes.
And I don't want to talk about the restaurant. Mm-hmm. We'll talk about it for a minute.
Yeah.
And I don't want to talk about anything in particular. I just want to bullshit with you with the mic on, because the thing that we missed out on tonight, and I hope our listeners love the show as much as I did, because this was a lot of fun and we got a lot of history out of you. But you can talk about anything or not a goddamn thing, and you're a hilarious motherfucker, man. You are one of the most entertaining individuals I've met in my life, and I try to gravitate towards the entertaining folks in my life.
Boy, you need to talk to my wife, because, boy, she's
don't
had really
enough of your shit.
She don't appreciate that
She's
shit.
heard all your damn stories.
Yeah, that's it, man. But I really appreciate that.
Here's the thing about a nice, loving marriage where there's a lot of communication is that if there's a downside to it, it's that you launch into a story that you love to tell, and you go, man, there was this one time, and you can look over and you get the irony.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God damn, not this
You
fucking
get
one
the,
again.
Not the Harry Connick Jr. story again.
And the next time you come, you got to tell a Harry Connick Jr. story.
Really beat the brisket. God, I've heard about this fucking brisket so many.
So good, though.
So,
too funny.
to our listeners, everybody, hope you enjoyed it. Danny Glassmaker.
Right on. Thanks for having me by. It was fun. We'll do this again soon.